As you might expect from a portfolio tool, Mahara allows you to add information about yourself that you might want to include in a CV. The terminology that Mahara uses is actually résumé, but to all intents and purposes it's exactly the same as what you would expect from a CV. The easiest way to get to the résumé tool is from the dashboard page to click on the quick link to the résumé tool. But notice that you can also get to it through the Content tab and select Résumé from the submenu here. It's important to emphasize that all we're doing at this point is adding content that you might want to include in any hypothetical CV that you'd like to create. So at this point we're just adding information about ourselves. At a later date we'll build a portfolio page that constructs a specific CV for a specific application. So just bear with me for now that what we're doing here is adding information that we'd like to include in a CV at some point. So on this first page here in the introduction, you have the opportunity to add a covering letter. You've got a little sort of WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get, more or less. So we can add a covering letter that would form part of our CV. So for example, you might add a little bit of text. I wish to apply for the post of etc, etc. A little bit further down on this page we can add a little bit of personal information. So something, for example, you might want to include your date of birth, your place of birth, citizenship. So if I pop in British here, the thing to notice is if you leave any fields blank, it just basically isn't included within the information, so you don't have to fill in all of these fields here. They're all completely optional. You can choose your gender, marital status, etc, etc. It's up to you. It's important to click on save on each of these pages to save the information as you progress. So under the next tab we have education and employment, and here it's possible to add your education and employment history. It's done simply by clicking on the add button for educational history. The fields that are highlighted in red are required fields, so we need to have a start date. So this person attended from 2009 to 2011. Manchester Metropolitan University, where they were awarded a 2-1 BSc Honours degree in environmental science. You can add a little bit more information about the qualification should you wish in the content description. So for example, unit studied includes GIS, environmental assessment, anything that you want to say a little bit more about this particular course, and then click on save. So that now appears in your list of educational history. If you click on the link here, you'll see that the information that you put into the description field appears below, and you can remove that by clicking on the link again, or hide it anyway. So if we add a little bit of employment history as well, just so that we've got some information in here for later on. So from 2009 until 2009 until present, this person was employed by the MMU Students' Union Bar as bar staff, and we can add a little bit more of a description that says that they were actually a shift manager, and we can then save that. So now we've started to add information about education and employment history. Furthermore, in a similar way we can add some achievements. I'm not going to demonstrate this, it's in exactly the same way, but this person, for example, has completed the Duke of Edinburgh Award. The goals tool operates in a slightly different way. It's very similar to the covering letter in that you get a series of little editing panes that allow you to add some personal goals. So for example, You might want to climb Everest and do the coast to coast cycle ride at some point. You can use these tools here to format the text appropriately as well. We'll add a little bit more information under here. So in terms of academic goals, the person might want to study for a PhD. Again, we can format that. And in terms of career aspirations, the person would like to become a researcher. So we'll click on save at the bottom of the page. That's now been saved. Under the skills tab, very similar thing. I've already added some information in here. Personal skills, academic skills, and work skills can be entered into the system. And also hobbies and interests, again, it's the type of thing that you might want to include within a CV. Once you're happy with all that, click on save. We'll talk a little bit later about how to go about incorporating that into a page that you can then make available to other people, including prospective employers.